welcome to whoever is joining us today. As you can see, here's Pillars of Eternity. What I'll be playing through today is a Paladin playthrough. As you can see, I've already kind of went ahead and played through much of the first part of the game. Going for more of a diplomatic sort of playthrough here. If you look here over on the right that I have highlighted, you can pause and read through that, which is a like. So yeah, that's Tolworth Wayfinder. Here's my party as I have it so far. Go through fast mode. Already rested up and ready, so let's just continue on. A dwarf and an Orlin debate philosophy on the other side of the curtain. Let's just check our journal real quick. Let's go to the temple in Lodeka. Got it. Loading screen the game. This is gonna happen a lot, unfortunately. That's just one of the unfortunate little drawbacks with the Pillars of Eternity. But that's okay. I mean, not... Okay, it's not exactly okay, but, you know, it is what it is. Okay, let me just... drive through the village. Village. Marketplace. Deca. Whoa, whoop, I always get... Lodeka. We're here. Okay, first fires. Which is over there. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I'm in the right way. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I was kind of concerned that since this was a game that was originally designed for the PC, about how well it'll be designed for a console, but it seems to be doing well so far. No issues here.
Politics, infighting, greed, and a shrine to Margaret as well. Her clergy belongs there.
So it's down there.
Well, this would be our Church of Woodica. Dear ones. Probably the first thing we burned during the Revolution.
Praise to the exiled queen. May her crown be restored and her justice prevail. Come to pay your respects to the queen that was.
A ghost hovers in the middle of the room, reciting blessings and prayers. Even as the spirit's form shifts and swirls, it retains the face of an elderly man in robes that mark wealth and status. It turns to you. Who are you?
Lord Ardwellen Rugford III, and pleased to make your acquaintance. I came to the Deerwood on one of the first ships from Adia, and unlike the yokels and hut-dwellers around here, I still keep to the old ways.
His cloudy eyes swim with resentment. It's truly a pity to see what the locals have done to Wodica's house of worship. What are you doing?
Worshipping Wodica, the exiled queen and oathbinder. I come every day to offer my devotion. I'd love nothing more than to book passage back to Adia, but it is my emperor's wish that I serve in these barbaric lands, and so I do.
I'd like to know more about Wodica.
A queen among the gods. She oversees laws and oaths. Everything has a rightful place, and Wodica watches over them all. Of course, not everyone accepts this. Even among the other gods, her authority is questioned. But Wodica is also goddess of memory and vengeance, and she remembers. She'll remember every slight and trespass when she reclaims her throne.
You know you're a ghost, right?
I beg your pardon? Is this some sort of joke where you come from?
I'm serious. Just look at yourself.
A madhouse. That's what this town really needs.
Okay. I guess he's just crazy. Okay, I was told to find the Temple of Wodica here.
And so you did. These savage colonists may have burned it down, but worship of the Oathbinder is alive and well. These stairs lead to the main sanctum.
What stairs?
These stairs, of course. The sanctum was always below ground, adjacent to the catacombs, so it wasn't destroyed by the fires.
The ghost gestures at an impassable pile of rubble. Like the rest of the ruin, it seems to have remained untouched for over a century. Tell me where I'd find an entrance to these catacombs.
There are various entrances throughout Defiance Bay, but I dare say the easiest to reach is in Copper Lane. I haven't been to that part of town in ages, but as I recall, it's somewhere near the southern gate.
Farewell, then. Sanguina draws up next to you. You all right? Looked almost like you'd lost your footing for a minute. Feels that way when I see into the ether. She watches you quietly. You really are a watcher, aren't you? Once in a great many generations, one of my people is born with the ability to speak to souls. Usually, such individuals become elders or alone sets of tracks in the snow. She cocks her head. I would have thought my journey would be easier if I could see what you see, but looking at you, I'm not so sure. Neither am I. Believe it or not, I once would have rejoiced to know I'd be picked to travel far in search of something great. But even these gifts come with a cost, don't they? Forgive me if I was a little skeptical of your abilities before. I can't say I've met a real watcher before. Oh, don't worry about him. He just likes doing that from time to time. Seems to cheer him up, so I let him. Once you've seen it a few times, Once you've seen it a few times, the shock wears off. Every time he goes a little strange in the face, I try and see if I can hear anything. Kana grins. It hasn't worked so far. See if you can get him to tell you what the spirit said. Queen, okay. Catacombs are right down there. Just gotta go down and cross over a bridge. To the catacombs! boy. Dead Initiate. As you approach the dead man, you can feel the faint traces of his soul lingering. A stunned uncertainty holding it in place. When you near, without warning, the soul hurries towards you, as though you were a solitary light in the dank gloom of this place, come to usher it away. Its essence invades your consciousness. You are in a different body now, walking deeper into the catacombs, cloaked in a dark robe with a mask pulled over your face. You're following a familiar path along the canal, heading to a room built around a statue or a figure wearing a robe much like yours. Others await clothed in hoods and shadows. Ahead is another figure dressed like you, traveling in the same direction. You don't know his name, and that's how it's supposed to be. Out of the darkness, something monstrous grabs the other figure. You turn to flee to find yourself face to face with a troll. The panic pounding through your brain is interrupted by razor-edged teeth and claws. You snap yourself out of the dead man's memory. The corpse lies in the damp and grim ground. His hood and mask are missing, and his clothes are shredded. Okay, so that wasn't the one that killed our initiate friend.
Brave thou Celestially.
That's it!
Ooh.
thou celestial.
Dead on!
Brave thou celestial.
Okay, more memorial stuff.
Brave thou celestial lead.
So many oozes.
Brave thou celestial lead.
Moe Ixisana. I'll let Margaret's fire. Stand together. Barathis. Moe Ixisana.
Ah, cool, I leveled up.
You're a newcomer to the Deerwood as well. What do you make of it so far?
The people here seem nice enough. I assume nobody has called you out for a scrap behind the barn yet then? Kana gives you a lopsided grin. Nor I. There's much fuss made of the Direwood temper, but so far they've largely loosed it on each other. They're a rather refreshing bunch otherwise, I think. I've whiled away an hour or two talking to the regulars in one tavern or another, and everyone from the merchants to the servant has an opinion to share. let's get that level up out of the way. Woohoo! Paladin! Yeah, let's make him a bulky mother. Yeah, we can give him a survival check. Okay. Abilities. Nice. Let's go with Inspiring Triumph. Yeah. That seems like a good one. Done. I guess it must be a passive. Did find some neat gauntlets though, so let's check those puppies out. Yeah, I'll take the Constitution and the Dex. Let's give those other flowers. Yeah, she could use them. She could definitely use them. Okay, come on. Still getting used to this. Do. Okay. Cool. Could do that. Cool. Ah! That was dickish.
Raised out Paladin.
That's not...
Cool. Let's see what you got. Got garbage. More garbage. Ooh, another level up. Up! Hegel of Theron, or Heleg of Theon. A lone figure in tattered robes scuffles across the chamber, muttering under its breath. As you approach, the figure halts and swivels its head towards you. Its haggard visage is a labyrinth of wrinkles and sores overgrown by a moss-like beard.
What's this?
Who disturbs Hegel's work? Or Helig's work? Blech. Its voice rattles and gurgles like that of a drowning man. What are you doing down here?
Research. The hodgepodge of animancy and necromancy. I have peace and quiet, as well as an abundant supply of subjects. If there's nothing else, be on your way!
What are those creatures behind you?
Just a few personal projects. Sorry souls stuck in their mortal shells. Their flesh is as dead as mine, though their minds are not as well maintained. They flock to me like worms and drakes. They're not half as intelligent, but...
He watches one stumble into a desk.
They serve for amusement.
I was just exploring the catacombs. The figure aims a gnarled finger at the door.
Then go! And thank your gods, I'm not hungry.
Farewell. What the? just gonna... Let's level up you.
Brave thou Philos, dear lead.
That's it! Dead on! Dead on!
These ones are in for a walloping!
Damn it!
Dead on!
I have
Okay, so the pet's not perma-dead. Okay, that's good.
brave thou Philos, dear lead.
Cool. Just wanna keep wandering. I have no idea where I am. Oh. Okie doke. Splash down. Iran. This small Orlan man appears to have pulled together some crates and scraps of clothes to make a rather sorry-looking little camp. The thick fur on his limbs is matted, and his clothing smeared with blackening grime. He looks startled as you enter, his eyes widening in alarm.
Greetings.
After a moment, however, he smiles weakly. Hello there. I wasn't expecting any visitors down in these parts. He glances around the dim room. What are you doing down here? He grimaces. I've been a little down on my luck lately. Didn't have anywhere to stay, so I thought I'd come down here. Nobody pokes around in the catacombs much. Not until you, anyway. Let's see. Let's go. Yeah, let's go with my intellect one. A sad tale, but not the whole story, I think. What are you hiding? The Orlan looks away, clearly agitated. I'm just trying to get by. There's nothing else to it. And if that isn't to your liking, then there's a whole lot of catacombs out there for you to have all to yourself. If you tell me, perhaps I can help. Aaron opened his mouth to snap something. His hands balled into fists. But he thinks better of it. He shakes his head slowly, expression resigned. He sighs heavily. Very well, it's true. I've been hiding from the knights down here. But it isn't what you think. He ducks his head. It was an accident. It's been hard for me here in Defiance Bay. I suppose I thought if I got involved in city business, if I made the right friends, it would get easier in time. And it did, really. I made a name for myself, a place. People actually listen to me when I talk. Well, they used to. People can get very passionate about these things. We were discussing, I think it was shipping agreements, of all the things to fight over. But this one night, this man, he got very angry. I think maybe he'd had a little too much to drink at the inn. And I guess he didn't like an Orlan talking back to him. I struck him. He came towards me and I hit him, and he went over like a tree. I guess I struck his head on the way down. Aaron lowers his gaze and shrugs helplessly. Turns out he was a knight. The Crucible Knights won't care how it happened. They just want me gone. They won't let me live long enough to see the rope. Please. He looks at you with a pleading expression. I just want to get out of this city. The second I can get money for passage, I won't trouble anyone again. I swear it. I'll live quietly, but you can't... Please, you can't tell them I'm here. Here, this should be enough to buy you passage out of Defiance Bay. Aaron stares at you in disbelief. But this is... His face twists as he struggles for words. They said you were a kind soul, but I wouldn't have imagined. This will see me out of the city and well away. I'm not sure I could ever thank you enough, but here, take this. I hope it's some use to you on your journey. You have my lasting gratitude, friend. I should get ready. Cool. And level ups. Everybody. Do some camping. Oh. Older robed man. In front of you looms the ghostly hollow image of the man who was present at your awakening. He casts a pale, sickly light in the dank corner as he regards you.
You are from Kratom, my boy.
His words are an echo in your mind from a time long past, and you know your response before you speak it, as if it has always been. Yes, I was born here.
A remarkable city. Truly one of the most impressive we have encountered outside of our own. Many exceptional people who have joined our cause come from Kratom. What made you decide to join our order?
The gods have been good to me, and I wish to repay them.
They will smile upon your service as long as it is performed in earnest. Are you ready to take the oath? To spread the word of the gods to the lost and heathen?
I am. Halfmach. The mercenary eyes you wearily as you approach, his weapon readied. What are you doing here? You don't look like one of the masked lot. Relax. How would I know to be here if I didn't belong? He thinks carefully and then nods. All right then, go on in and report to the Acolyte. She'll give you your assignment. They should be just about to finish their meeting in the big chamber. Any idea what's going on around here? A word of advice, friend. Don't ask questions. Just go and do what you're told. You know anything about this place? He shakes his head.
As far as I can tell, we're underneath first fires. Probably under that ruined temple. Alright then, farewell.
Hello.
A lone figure paces back and forth, tapping his fingers at his side, muttering to himself. He jumps when he sees you, his hand on his chest. By the flame, you startled me! He pauses and leans forward. Where's your mask? It's too itchy. I'll put it back on for the meeting. Well, don't let anyone inside see you without it. They're keen on anonymity. Tell me about the meeting. This must be your first time. The Acolyte communicates with each of us individually to hear of our progress on old tasks and to assign us new ones. He shivers with a mix of pleasure and dread. It's a unique process. She's a cipher, so she can speak to you without words. Fascinating until you realize she could probably read your thoughts just as easily. I see. We've been entrusted with important work. It's an honor, but not without its challenges. You need something else? I'll be ready for the Initiates meeting soon, honest. Goodbye. Ooh. Olaf falters and brings a hand to his forehead. He takes a staggering step forward, coughing and sputtering.
Back, ye clod! Those hooded fiends are nigh to be trusted!
Olaf, hey. Now that's not... Olaf, hey, now's not the best time for that. He grimaces, catching his breath. It's nothing. I'm fine. This probably isn't the best place to linger anyhow. Shrouded woman. Several shrouded figures are lined up across from a hooded woman. The figure at the head of the line approaches her, and the woman places her outstretched hand on the stranger's forehead. They stand in silent communication as you look on. A few moments later, the stranger steps aside and resumes his place in the circle around the statue. The hooded woman looks past you at your party. The other figures do the same, muttering among themselves. The woman points a long finger at you. Stop them!
Like worth.
Here's a lesson.
Good shot with that.
Okay, maybe just... Might actually be good to just go inside alone. That was mildly embarrassing.
You are from Crete? What made you decide to join?
Back you cl-
Okay. The woman turns towards you. You are late, attendant. Even though her face is concealed, you sense her rage in her dangerously low voice, and in the sudden silence of the others in the chamber.
I've been waiting on your reports. Quickly now, state your name and purpose.
Mutter indistinctly. Shit.
Mow it.
Stand together!
Crumpled at your feet lies the body of a woman. She wears a dark robe that bears an insignia resembling a key. As you approach the woman's body, feelings of rage assault you. The dead woman's voice howls in your ears, and her lingering consciousness renders at yours. Her essence tingles around your bones and membranes. It fills the space between your ears and behind your eyes, crawling deeper into your core. You see a gathering of men and women wearing robes like hers, their faces hidden behind masks. One by one they approach her, whom they know as an acolyte. She places her hand on each of their foreheads, searching their thoughts. She sees that she tests them with ritualistic questions, and they answer that their oath is sealed by the leaden key. She asks them of their tasks. She gives them new ones, all without a word. Her essence flares, fighting to boil your blood, burn your memory, and splinter your bones from within. Yet between its strikes, you see the flashes of something else. A tower, a prisoner, and a ruin. You funnel all of your concentration into a single effort of will, a sharp point that pins the raging soul in place like an insect in a display case. With the thing under control, you're able to examine it, and the three thoughts swirling inside. Examine the thought about the tower. You see a plain set of a neighborhood. Run-down estates are cobbled along a cemetery and an ancient tower. Savage shapes prowl the streets, and in the tower a man hunches over a strange mechanism, and you see him clearly, but there's something unnatural about him. Somewhere nearby you see a woman with a scar over her heart. You understand that she has something he needs. You also see a door at the base of the tower, a seemingly impenetrable slab of stone and copper, and then the acolyte reveals the invisible split between the perfectly matched halves, and you understand how the copper veins convert a command into action. You know how to open the door. Inquire about the prisoner. In your mind, you see a building, magnificent with trestles and tiles, and located on a pristine boulevard. The wealthy and learned stroll in and out, trading knowledge and coin. Yet it also houses misery and madness. Somewhere within its rotted core sits a man, his hair matted and his eyes alert. He watches and waits, a prisoner by choice. Look into the rooms. The acolyte's vision takes you out of Defiance Bay into a town in the wilderness with a windmill. A signpost on one of the paths reads, Dryford. Several figures huddle together, shrouded in cloaks and hoods. An image of ruins suddenly looms in your mind. Two skeletal effigies flank a cleft in the mountainside. Back away. You wake up to see Durance, his staff held in both of his hands before him. A flame flickers at its top end, casting long shadows across his face as he stares in contemplation. Still, for all the light of the fire, your eyes can't focus on him. Perhaps it is awakening from sleep or a trick of the light, but he seems indistinct, blurred around the edges. Everything except for the staff. The staff. He seems to be studying its engravings. As you watch, the engravings glow thinly red, like through the cracks of a suffused wood. The lines stream like molten metal, burning along the edge of his staff, then branch out into an intricate series of fiery veins, bunching thickly where his hands clutch the wood, pulsing as if a heartbeat. As you watch, the veins spiral into a dozen separate circles, circles that spiral again until they are arranged in a circle of their own. They pulse, wait, and all is strangely silent, and then suddenly there is a great light from the fire, a rushing of air, a great flash, and you awaken again to see Durance in the same place, still holding his staff, but he is solid, real. He doesn't seem to have noticed you, or reacted to what occurred.
Brave thou Philos.
Stand!
Brave.
Dead on!
Brave does he not believe.
A moment, please. I feel I should explain myself.
Oh.
About my episode in the catacombs. There's something I should have told you earlier.
He clasps his hands together, slowly massaging a knuckle with his thumb. I meant no harm. I thought I could keep it to myself. That when we resolve the matter of your soul, we would also address my problem.
I also have an awakened soul. But unlike yours, mine is a presence that shares my senses and my skin, making herself manifest at the most unwelcome times.
He closes his eyes and grits his teeth. His lips quiver and twitch, with vestiges of some internal debate. Several seconds later, he opens his eyes again. They're watery and bloodshot.
I'm sorry. I've tried to learn to control Isilmir. I've gotten stronger, but so has she.
Tell me about Isilmir.
Artless, uncouth, a creature of rash impulses and feeble faculties. She wags her impertinent tongue when she should listen.
He winces, his expression rippling between control and chaos.
Aye, this one's fit to boil. Hard to get his gaff over anything tisn't to do with books and spell speak.
His face flickers with a sly grin. He grimaces, running his hands through his hair. I have none of her memories. Barath spared me that much.
but her coarse manners and intolerable hail-speak suggest a province from a very, very long time ago. She tends to surface a hair's breadth from conflict when the fuse has burned down and teeth are on edge. And when she shows up, she doesn't stop to gauge a situation, she just acts. She seems reckless. That's it exactly. You recall the way she goaded those villagers in Gilded Vale. She doesn't think, and she doesn't back down. Trying to suppress that has been my problem for years. Why didn't you say something sooner?
I learned to keep her a secret a very long time ago. Those with awakened souls are shunned, mistrusted. And after your experience with Meerwald, I'm certain you can see why. You need to be careful.
Is this going to be a problem?
Merely an annoyance. Although...
He lowers his voice and clasps his hands behind his back. A minute twitches and spasms along his arm betray his fidgeting.
Defiance Bay is said to have an entire institution dedicated to the study and cure of soul-related ailments. Since our journeys have already brought us to the city, perhaps we could speak with someone there.
If it's helpful to you, we'll go.
Thank you. This has been a great burden.
Time to get moving. Thought I felt your eyes on me. Now come the words. I had questions I wanted to ask you.
If doubts and curiosity plague you, you're skidding your knuckles on the wrong door.
I saw something strange. You were sitting by the fire and I saw a great light from your staff.
Tell me what you saw.
It was a flash like an explosion. A rushing of air. Incredibly bright.
It is the light of the Godhammer you saw.
The Godhammer?
It was a weapon of Deerwood's people. A symbol of their independence. It saved the Deerwood.
What do you know about it?
It brought the Saints' War to an end. Knocked a god from his perch. There are few that would deny Aothis overstepped. The Godhammer reminded Aothis of it. You saw its light because I helped shape it, give it life, and release it into the world. Once seen, its glory is almost too bright to be believed, and too bright to be forgotten.
You helped build the Godhammer.
There were 12 of us. We fashioned the weapon, drafted plans for it, prayed for guidance at Ashfall, and it came to me there. Each of us were given a staff made from the forest of black trees around us, glowing with embers and fire far greater than this branch you see now. It felt as if the staff was Margaren's own finger, guiding my hand, guiding the other 11. The shadows of the 12 who had come to stand on the bridge to stop Aothis.
I also saw a dozen bright circles emerging from your staff as well.
Even in that stand, there was a ritual to it. For the 12 that stood on the bridge, there were a dozen shadows cast, a dozen faithful of Margaren, her fiercest supporters and shapers of the Godhammer.
Durance rests the staff in front of him, and the flame atop it curls for a moment, the light flaring slightly. It spits into a ring of flames, one after the other, until a dozen it's met.
As 12 held Aothis fast, we 12 unleashed our prayers, and let the Godhammer fall.
Then it blossoms brightly once, and resumes its candle intensity. In the aftermath, the shadows seem sharper in the vicinity, as if they have edges and you blink to clear your vision. Durant is still staring at the tiny candle-like flame intently.
Shadows cast by the fire of the Godhammer, perhaps. We share their fate as well in time. Now the spine of the Deerwood is marked by the Godhammer. Marked by Margaret.
What do you mean, shared their fates?
Not all deaths come with stilled breath and stilled heart, or other stilled passions beneath the waste. Some deaths come from silence. The connection we once shared with Margaret, after the light of the Godhammer, it was not the same. It was as if we'd lost our senses, and sense of purpose as well. Instead of victory, being welcomed, there was silence, within and without. Not many can claim to have killed a god. It is less a heroic tale than you would think. And such a death, it changed our faith. All faiths, I expect. Doubt followed, and the world changed. I do not believe Margaret was pleased by what we had done.
Why is that?
The world is broken. The wheel stilled. There is sickness in the world's heart. Perhaps the price of crossing a god. Crossing two gods. Even as Margaret shaped our hands, perhaps we carried her will farther than was allowed. Just as Widewin, Saint Widewin. Mortal arrogance to match mortal arrogance. Yet if the world had changed, then I sought to change with it. If I had forgotten some of Margaret's teachings, I would find them again. I would make her see me again.
What did you do?
I remembered Margaret's teachings. How reminders on the flesh were more important than the death of a vessel. I wondered if killing Aethys, if that had simply set him free. Had it allowed him to escape his punishment and be taken on the wheel? Like a mortal? As I stepped from the now blessed Godhammer Bridge, I thought of Ashfall. I thought of the war of black trees. Wondered if I needed to be burned to find myself again. That is Margaret at her heart. At least that is my hope. These are the doubts that befall me.
What happened when you returned to Ashfall?
The road to Ashfall is long. Gives one time to think. If you think long enough, you do not go home. I left without telling anyone, with only the robes I wore at Halgot, my staff, and my name, which is long buried. Of my fellow 11 craftsmen, disciples, I know not what happened to them, if they suffered the same doubt as I did. But it was undeserved. It was wrong. We had done all that. Who had asked? Grab victory from defeat and...
You feel as if your god has betrayed you.
There is something about being used and cast aside. Perhaps Widewin himself felt it. There at the end, when the hammer struck. To be the proof that your god is hollow as the vessel it inhabits. I tried to find purpose, and avoided all contact with other Magranic priests. Did not seek the walls of Ashfall, and sought to make amends to my god through actions. I joined with the Purges for a time, and not long after came the first signs of the Hollowborn. So many crimes, trespasses, violations. The Salvation. Animancers were another sickness born of the Saints' War. A relapse of innovation, of desperation to heal what we had caused. All seemed worse than before the bridge, not better. And as years passed, the world became even worse still for the victory.
Maybe the purges weren't what the Gran wanted either. Sweat collects in the sooty creases of his forehead and runs down his ruddy cheeks, drips from the tip of his nose. His mouth moves, but his utterances make no sound. He is for once at a loss. Feeling your gaze, he quickly composes himself, wiping his forehead with the back of his dirty hand.
Huh? Worship the whims of some fickle bitch, and you'll never be more than dirt beneath her feet. Worship what she worships, on the other hand. Take her fire for your own, and her esteem comes on its own. Of course, by that time, you no longer need it. Trial and transformation, sure as Durance taught.
Durance glances at you. Staring into his eyes gives you the feeling of peering over the edge of a great cliff.
You think to put the coals to my feet, but what's burned once will never burn again. These talks are your trial, Watcher. You cannot deflect the truth to one who has already been purified by it.
Tell me about what happened on the bridge.
We chose the bridge because we could control it.
Durance's hand right on top of the staff, as if holding it by the neck.
It was a place where we could choke Ethos in his own footsteps, where we knew his feet would fall, a narrow neck of stone. But it was more than that. It was a spine of the deerwood, symbolic of its backbone. Such symbols are important in the construction of a weapon.
Durance studies his staff, his eyes traveling along the etching.
Any weapon.
Durance's face hardens, and his eyes burn, his eyebrows narrowing.
I suspect Ethos knew that
I suspect Ethos knew that as well.
And so did his vessel, in its arrogance.
His hand tightens on the staff.
He intended to walk upon the bridge as if walking on the backs of the deerwood. And we intended to burn him with the light of our faith and his.
12 on the bridge, 12 in the shadow,
and gave ourselves to it.
Gave yourselves to it?
We put much of ourselves into the Godhammer. Such a device is not simply a machine. There are elements of the spirit in it. Even Widewind's spirit.
Elements of the spirit?
Each of the 12 who brought the Godhammer forth would have done anything to save the Deerwood. Save its people. It is why we were chosen. Each of us hated this pretender. That rage, that spirit, that rebellion went into our work, and went into studying him as well. Spirit, that rebellion went into our work, and went into studying him.
Wayward, why?
We all studied Widewind. He was our enemy, and he had provided the flesh the god wore as a cloak. That flesh made him vulnerable. I knew what fields his hands had tilled, his family, what he had harvested, where he had been born. We sought to know him, what had led him to fight us.
Why was that important?
You don't kill the god. You kill the man it inhabits. And you leave that man a ruin. Burn him to ash. The weapon was meant to not only burn his flesh, but it would burn his soul. And it did. At the cost of our own. And at the cost of our goddess's favor. That whore be damned.
It sounds as if you fell victim to your own weapon.
Perhaps your eyes were blinded by the truth of the Godhammer, Watcher. I feel half a man at times, but even that is twice that of most others. If you fear for my spirit, your fears are baseless. The Godhammer, seeing its light, only fueled my anger and made me stronger. made me re-examine the teachings of Margaret, put them in a new light.
It looked as if there was only part of you, as if your spirit had been shredded in half.
I do not need you to cast any more questions on me, Watcher. Nor did I ask you to look upon me without my leave. Get gone, and leave me be.
Yep, it did get a PS4 release. I think about a couple of days ago, I think. Again, as I said long before in the stream, it is good to see Obsidian actually work on their own properties for once. Paladin. I'll show you more specifically in about a moment, but the loading times are, well, they are a thing you have to deal with. Oh, wait. There we go. Alright, so let's see my dude. So, my character's name is Talgrith Wayfinder. He's a level 5 paladin. Kind Wayfarer, to be more specific. He's a coastal Amaru. His background is he was a Rutari laborer. And let's see. His reputation, he tends to be more benevolent and diplomatic. Very passionate, rational, honest. Yeah, that is a good point. But, you know.
Adair, you have said you fought in the Saints' War, but for which side?
The one that blew up my god.
I didn't mean anything by it. I imagine a man with a head made of fire and light would be very convincing.
Funny thing about Dear Woodens. With all that fire and light, they just treated him like another authority figure.
Oh yeah, I forgot that this game has a neat little banter too. Again, Obsidian, man, they are good writers. Good writers. Sorry, just for those of you who are also watching, or whoever else is watching, I am watching the chat on my phone, so that way it does not interfere with the screen real estate. There's not much screen real estate to begin with. I want Winter... Oh, Winter March. Yeah, that is the expansion to this. Yeah, luckily with this complete edition on the PS4, it comes with Winter's March, so that's nice. I forgot this. It is very easy to get lost in this game. Let's see. Let's look at my stronghold stiffs. Am I still... Yep, I'm... no, which one am I doing? Oh yeah, barracks. I still have a day on that. Okay. So let's go down here. Actually, there's a marketplace here. I could just go to the marketplace and just purchase some camping supplies, because I'm kind of low on that. Let's see, what do you got? Come on.
Hail, traveler.
A young woman stands by a cart, watching the crowd with large, bright eyes that focus on you as you approach. Take your time, traveler. If you're looking for enchanted scrolls or garb, you've come to the right place. Let's see. That's Yep. Do you have... No. You do not. Do you at least take stuffs? Yeah, you take stuff. I am way too much of a hoarder. Get that gold. Alrighty. Later, Bolty. Not much is gonna happen anyway. There's a general trader in this place. That might be more loot at the end. There's more of an end thing. Uh-huh. Okay. Night.
Hello.
Oh my god, you can order a Labrador! Yes! I want a Labrador! Yes. Good. I have dog. Can other people have dogs? I already have a dragon. Only I can have a pet. We have dog. Doggy! Dog, dog, dog. Yes. Dog.
Gods keep you.
Okay, so... have to go to the archives.
You might find this interesting.
Huh. Okay, the Ducal Palace is where I want to go then. Okay, and that is... fudge was the 2? No, yeah, I remember where it is now. I am dumb. It is in the first fire's place. So what do I think of Pillars of Eternity? It's good. It is a good game so far. But then again, I'm used to playing D&D, so it's not really that much of a far stretch in that regard. These particular games, after all, were pretty well built for that kind of person. If you've played D&D before, this is pretty well just that without the need or bother of messing with other people. First fire. Yeah, these are really fun. Though admittedly I play isometric type RPGs, at least these Baldur's Gate-y kind of terribly. I end up playing a lot of these like I do Diablo, which is not how you're supposed to play these games. I entirely admit that. Yeah. Admittedly, my only experience with Baldur's Gate was with the PlayStation 2 game of that, I think, that came out. That was my only experience with Baldur's Gate. So, this will be an almost... One could say this is sort of a new experience for me. Sort of. Let's go to the Ducal Palace. Afraid I don't got the computer for that, friend. At least not yet. Thank you for the offer, though, of letting me borrow it, but I do not have the equipment for that. Unless they've re-released it for the PlayStation 4, and I just don't notice. Let's see. Hall of Records. Yeah, that's where I need to go. Coolio.
Hello!
A tactrum man with graying hair pores over a tome he's just withdrawn from one of the shelves. He glances up at you with baggy eyes. Yes, is there something I can pull for you? I'm looking for militia records from the time of the Saints' War, trying to find out what happened to someone. The man clears his throat. We've had a number of inquiries about such information. I'm afraid we've had to bar access to the public. Seems there are still quite a number of folk in Direwood who bear ill will towards the Redicarians. It would be irresponsible to surrender their names to just anyone. Many come to settle here as refugees. Perhaps if you were more established in Defiance Bay, things would be different. But I have no reason to suspect you to be any different from others. Damn. I could just threaten him. Okay. We've come a long way. I just need to find out about my brother. I don't even know which side he fought for. You must understand,
I've heard many such stories, I'm afraid. There is nothing I can do for you. Yeah, that might be something I have to do. So I need to gain a reputation with Defiant Bay. So let's see. Brackenberry, which is down that way. Don't know why the game starts dropping certain sound bits I've been getting to notice. Brackenberry. There we go. It's weird. It's very weird that for whatever reason it just sort of drops like that. Okay. Okay, so the sanitarium is right over there. Oh, so two are watching. I wonder who's the other person. Ah, well. Let's see. That's always a good sign with the creepy music. Heal Warden Eltamar. Ooh, the statue is alive. Cool. It has been some time since a watcher graced these halls. His voice echoed deeply, rumbling the floor beneath you. I am envious of your natural insights, traveler. I can only imagine how it might have helped my work in life. Now, what has brought you to my sanitarium? Does anyone here know anything about awakenings? There's an animancer on the lower floor who came all the way from Revnus to study them. Take the stairs down and look for the bell sage. Let's see, you may have a member of the Lenki Nets. The Elamur groans and the stone around him shudders. I could have done without hearing that today. Many have their intrusions been into our affairs. Of course, one can seldom be certain whether they've meddled or whether calamity has struck on its own. But a few of their less skilled infiltrators have been exposed from time to time. They are a perpetual nuisance. Once again, I am reminded of how envious I am of your gifts. I suspect they would be the same. I suspect they would be of some use in verifying one's identity. You're at odds with the Lenki as well, I take it. They have something I need. I hope it isn't knowledge you seek. They are seldom keen to part with it. Do you have some idea of who this person might be? I suspect it's a patient. Very well, in that case, I would recommend you speak first with our resident animancers. They have frequent interactions with both patients and colleagues. You'll find them up here or in their offices downstairs. You will report anything suspicious to me immediately. This is my only request. I'm curious as to how you come to be in your present state. In the statue, you mean? Well, I was old, and it seemed wrong to me. A lifetime spent in pursuit of discovery, only to lose it all in death. Somewhere, someday, I would wake up in a new body, none the wiser, and pursue a different course entirely. All that experience wasted. If we are ever to unearth the principles behind our existence, it will be in spite of our condition. Of that I am quite sure. To live on as part of something I helped to build seemed to me a better legacy than what nature had in store. The transfer itself was quite simple as our techniques go, and for that I am grateful. Playing with souls is far easier to accept when they are not your own. I do miss being able to take an active role in scholarly efforts here. Now and again, one of our animancers will humor me and consult over some problem, but they are a jealous breed, and are too often afraid to collaborate. If you are considering it yourself, I can tell you that it isn't for easily bored. Farewell.
Good day, stranger.
A woman paces back and forth, her feet crunching on the soft red carpet. She gestures and mumbles to herself, sulking her head as she pores over pages of notes. She almost walks into you. Kosi, here I am looking so hard for answers in my research. I do not see the kith standing in front of me. What can I do? I'm looking for an expert on awakenings. She laughs bitterly. That would be me. Though the lack of research subjects has made me more of an expert in counting floorboards, I would like to transfer Animancy's success in buttressing pre-awakened souls to soothing those whose souls have already awakened. But I need subjects, and most of the patients here are too broken to produce reliable results. It is a tragedy to have come so far for nothing. Well, you're in luck. I have a volunteer. She springs to the balls of her feet, beaming. Geraldi! Who is it? Aloth curls into a frown. I don't know about this. She grins more broadly still. Don't be silly. The process is perfectly harmless. All you must do is stand in that cage. I beg your pardon? I jest. You Adirians are so uptight. I do not even know what the thing is used for. It belonged to the last recipient of this office, I think. Now they upgrade him to the cell. Again, I jest. She rubs her hands together, getting down to business. So, I need you to sit there. She takes Aloth by the shoulders and steers him to the couch. And try to relax. But don't try too hard. Then you will not be relaxing. Indeed. His eyes are humorless. And you must also wear these. A little cold, but the copper will help conduct your essence. The Animancer fastens thick copper hands to Olaf's forehead and wrists. As she rackets them tighter, his face twitches with suppressed irritation. Now, I will examine your soul through my scope. She reaches into her desk and produces a long, chambered tube. Knobs, dials, and small toothed wheels run along the side of the device. It is fitted with Adara lenses cut to different thicknesses and concavities. By manipulating them, I find the angles and densities that will allow me to track the anomalies in your soul. How exciting! I've never seen this sort of thing performed.
Kana peers into the device with interest.
It seems suitably complicated.
Does this mean we get to talk to Isilmir more? Sorry, does this mean we'll get to talk to Isilmir more? I like that lady. She raises a finger. But first, we must find this cunning interloper. You will answer some personal questions while I make adjustments. Sagni pats his arm. Don't worry, I'm sure we won't hear any of it. Aloth squirms on the couch. Very well. She holds the scope to her eye and flicks a knob. To begin, tell me something personal. Something from a time before your awakening.
There's nothing to tell. I was just a normal child living in Seathwood.
He looks at you. His face is set to a frown, but the rigid edges of apprehension shows through nevertheless. Talk about your parents. As you speak to Olaf, you feel your voice like a bell in your chest. It tolls softly, luring him into the mists of his own memory. Belsage doesn't even notice anything, but you feel as if your words are soothing his essence, untangling its many threads. He closes his eyes. Mother is away most of the time, with the Thanes family, but I always know when she's coming home.
Father's bottles accumulate like storm clouds on the horizon. His fits of temper become swifter and more violent. It still shames him, knowing that her hemnig to another man supports us better than his labors as a steward. This is good. I'm starting to see something. Continue. Tell us something about the time you awakened. She bites her tongue as she twists one of the dials. I am in my 5th year of training. Mother is home. I can let my guard down a little because when she's around, he is usually only angry with her. But he has heard that I have had trouble casting missiles, that my flame shields are unstable. He is furious that I have failed, and Mother's presence reminds him that he has failed too. The first blow takes me by surprise. One moment I am sweeping the kitchen, the next I am sprawled on the ground, stupidly looking at flicks of my blood on the tile. His boots, glistening with fresh polish, thud across the floor. He kicks me in the stomach and I curl up to shield my vitals, but it's pointless. Protecting one thing only leaves something else exposed. Still huddled on the ground, I retreat as fast as I can. I retreat until the vision of the kitchen and my own trembling knees is nothing but a pinprick against a field of black. His jaw locks and his eyes twitch beneath their lids. Maleduccio! Belsage furiously cranks the knobs on her scope. He's hypnotized himself with this old memory. You've got to bring him out of it quickly. I've almost had it. Slap him. Slap him! Okay, squeeze Aloth's hand. You're safe. Everything's fine. All its sides snap open, and the expression you see in them isn't his. He's ne'er safe when I hap upon him. Belsage sucks a deep breath through her teeth. That's it! I'm seeing a shift in his essence, something spreading and congealing. She glances over at you, over her scope. Keep talking, he seems to respond to you. What brought you here? Cracking boys and voices high in the air. The warm molasses feeling the crepes down your gut when crisis is nigh. Belfito, we have flares of a totally distinct essence. She jolts shorthand notes onto the pages next to her, and turns one clicking knob of her scope. Now, try to get the two of them talking. Aloth, ask it... Aloth? Isilmir, tell Aloth why you've awakened. Feh! He's the one needed me, hiding in his own bone bag like a turtle in its shell. Aloth's face twists in fury. I never turned it over to you. Good, yes, very good. She rests from her scribbling, only to make another adjustment in her scope. I can now see two separate patterns of essence. Where he ebbs, the other flows. It's as if the awakened soul fills the space that he leaves empty. She prompts you with a circling of her wrist, still in hand. Go on. Aloth, what's this about ceding space to Isilmir? He grits his teeth painfully. I've given her nothing. She usurps me in my own body. Aye, and I lend him a pair too. You should ask what I did to that old man of his. How the last time he laid a hand on his, I'd break it in 3 pieces. In 3 places. Allah's hand jerks to the side. That wasn't your decision. It's never been your decision. I was awakening, but now I'm stuck with you. And damned if I let your ninny and drag us both through the scrubber. Ah, very good. She lowers her scope and consults her notes. I think I've finally got something we can work with. I've tracked Isilmir's essence through I've tracked Isilmir's existence through the exchange. She had a particularly high density index during the most heated portions of their argument, and her essence seems to localize most clearly in the lower portion of the subject's left rib cage. That's right around the spleen, which of course means that she is triggered by black bile. No doubt the subject's characteristic melancholy is to blame. Oloth blinks back at you, and in the midst of his perturbation, you're not quite sure who's looking out of his eyes. That's utter horseshit! Sagni's eyes are wide and innocent. Sagni's eyes are wide and innocent. Rodney. It's good. It is a good game. It does seem as though she's got one thing right. She glares at him. Yes, never mind my years of training. I suppose you have a better explanation? Yeah, Isilmir manifests when Oloth is in danger or under pressure. Belsage carefully scratches her jaw, her gaze darting between you and Aloth. I suppose that could be true. She jolts another note. I'll have to check this against other research. He removes his copper bands. Well and good for you, but what does this mean for me? Belsage frowns at her notes, tapping her cheek with a quill and making a grand show of concentration. However, you catch her stealing a glance at you over the pages. Let's see, Isilmir tries to take control of you, from when she thinks you can't face a problem on your own. You can't let her make the decisions for you. She did you a favor by dealing with your father, didn't she? I think she's trying to help you stand up for yourself. You may not like her methods, but you should hear her out. It seems as Isilmir steps in when she's determined you're in danger. It's not clear yet whether this is to help or hindrance. Okay. Yeah, I'll go with the middle one. If you had to listen to her half as much as I do, you wouldn't say that. He scowls, but you notice something thoughtful in his frown. I've got a lot to process. Regardless, thank you for your help, Talgriff. He does not look at Belsage. She sets her notes on her desk and returns to her scope. Well, I hope this has been as useful to you as it has been to me. I finally have material worth publishing. You'll be the toast of Ravo, Fatir Aloth. His grimace melts into a crooked smile. Aye, advance in the right-wise principle of animancy. Oh, sorry. I forgot which voice he was. I forgot whether it was Isilmir or him. Okay. Aye, advancing the right-wise principles of animancy. Just what you've always wanted. Oh, that is her. Okay, I am confused. As you turn to leave, you catch a darting movement out of the corner of your eye. Belsage is humming to herself, still occupied with her scope, but Oloth is holding her notes. He's just about to tuck them into his cloak when he catches you watching. He holds a finger to his lips, his eyes wide and imploring. Please, I don't want my personal information published like this, especially not after her nonsense. okay, he wants to steal the research. Because he doesn't want his personal stuff all out and published. Okay. But technically she did help, so it would be sort of within her right, but then again she did not get his consent to do that. So I don't know, would Olaf have the... Well, he does, he does have the right to his own sort of, he does have the right to his own privacy, I would think. Actually getting kind of tired, so I'll just go ahead and leave the stream off for tonight. So, thank you to the few people who decided to join me. I'll see you all next time.